Not complicated. Neighbor who got the shot must have been on the other side of the street. They were looking into the bedroom from the north window. If she's wrong, I should seize on the opportunity to start turning the tide. Yep, that is wrong. I'm afraid that's simply not possible, Detective. This photo has to have been taken from the west. What kind of bluff is that supposed to be? The good detectives are misinformed here, and I need to take advantage of it. Time to press the initiative. What do you mean this was taken from the west? The autopsy tells us the victim was shot from the doorway. Your officer's ARC data tells us the precise location of everything in the room at the time they arrived. And now your photo has shown us the exact moment of the shooting. And altogether, that tells us that this photo must have been taken through the west window. As long as you consider... It was the jacket that shot him! Mirror was upright, clock was on the wall. I still think the vase did it. Gotta be the statement. Just take one look at the clock in that photo. Clock? What about it? The clock, huh? Seems like London's got an idea. If he's mistaken, I could pounce on it and keep my tempo high. This photo was taken right before the shooting, so... Wait, don't tell me the time of death is wrong. No. That's a good question, Detective London, but the answer is no. The autopsy, the clock, and the neighbors all agree the time of death was 9 p.m. Right, no mistaking that. Well then, what are you on about? There's a clock on the wall in this photo, analog style, and it reads 9 o'clock. 9 p.m., time of the shooting. What's so special about that? Nothing. There's nothing odd at the time of the clock reads, but... Do you remember where there being a clock in the room? What? Actually, I don't recall there being a clock. That makes sense. You wouldn't recall seeing a clock. Because when the police secured the scene, the clock had already been knocked onto the floor. And the clock in that room is in the northeastern corner. And my client has informed me that before the crime, it was hung up on the eastern wall. Like so. What is that supposed to be? An artist rendition. It's, very distinct. You had information on how the crime scene was before the shooting. Why didn't you just add it to the arcs? And show you my hand? Just because discovery laws compel us to share info, doesn't mean we have to play fair, Detective. Slipped my mind. I'll do that now. The important thing is, if the clock was on the eastern wall before the shooting occurred, then the photo must be looking through the western window to see it? Don't get ahead of yourself. The victim was shot at 9 p.m., same time as the photo was taken on the shooter. But you want to claim that the clock's still on the eastern wall when it would have been knocked down during the fighting. You've got your logic backwards, Detective. Your precious photo shows that the room was pristine at the time of the shooting. And there's one other piece of evidence that proves exactly how the cards fell. It was the vase! What's this? Can't push a button. Okay. Whatever that does. On to the victim. They're cues! That's shards. What about them? Nothing much, really. Only that they're on top of the victim's body, and not under it. The glass fell on top of the victim's body. That would mean that she was dead on the ground before the room got trashed. That's That doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone trash the room afterwards? That's a good question, Carlos. Luckily, it's the detectives who have to delve into the minds of the criminality insane, not us. Wait, you mean... unlike Phoenix Wright, it's not our job to prove of negative? How does that work? Tell me, detectives, were there any signs of a struggle at our other crime scenes? Other crime scenes? No, nothing like that. Those attacks would have been over in a matter of seconds. So what do you think when you saw the mess in the bedroom? That was personal, the things had gotten complicated. Stuff happens. Stuff does happen, Detective. But in this case, it seems there's been a general misconception about the order in which stuff happened. So if the room didn't get tossed over until afterwards, he still shot her. I have a photo right here. And I'm glad you do, Detective, because that photo proves my client's innocence. Huh? Proving that it wasn't my client who pulled the trigger is difficult. And maybe more importantly for us, time-consuming. Thanks to your photo, it can instead prove that it couldn't have been my client who pulled the trigger. Because the man in that photo can't possibly be Carlos. Like it can't? The glass shards prove that the room was pristine at the time of the shooting. And we know that until the room was tossed, that clock was on the eastern wall. Which means this photo of the shooter was taken from the west. Back to this, that's an... oh, that was her, sorry. The only hallway in that apartment runs from north to south. The only person with prints on that gun is your client. And the only fact that matters is that he used it to kill 6 innocent people. Huh. You're a very honest person, Detective. Excuse me? That's why you're such a bad gambler. You've played your cards too early, and now I can steal the pot right out from under you. You're right about the hallway's orientation. You're right about the prints. And this HK figure has claimed 6 lives. But we aren't looking at the hallway in that photo. What? What we're seeing is... it's the mirror. No, wait. Well, technically, yes. Well, wait, no, she's not in it. Cams of shooting. Those things. Those things. I'm almost tempted. Oh, this thing's back. I'm gonna put it there. It's the mirror! Your cues! What is that? You're trying the glass shards again? Sort of. By the way, do you recall where those glass shards came from? Yeah, sure, they came from a standing mirror. A mirror that, at the time of the shooting, stood across the room from the western window. But then, that would mean that angle from that viewpoint. It would reflect the hallway. So we're not seeing a shooter with a gun in their left hand. We're seeing a killer take aim with their right arm. And, as we all know, my client hasn't had a working right arm in a number of weeks. And he hasn't worn his rental since this morning. So I mean what I said about that photo. I'm glad it was recovered, because it just proved that my client couldn't possibly have committed this crime. ... More dots. That should be the end of it. Except it looks like Detective Reyes really is a novice gambler. Sunk cost has got its teeth in her now, clawing up her spine, whispering wounded pride in her ear. The cold sweat, hot palms kind of fever. The impotent, irrational fury of losing something you thought was guaranteed yours. But luckily for you, Detective, I'm well versed in shock therapy. You look dissatisfied, Detective Reyes. That's one word for it. All right. Then allow me to put a nice bow on everything for you. In summary, my client's so-called confession was just a note to self. The police found him in shock, reeling at the death of his girlfriend, and arrested him for being next to a gun he forensically couldn't have fired. After being confronted with these facts, you received photographic evidence of the exact moment of the shooting. And instead of utilizing that photo to track down the real killer, you tried to claim it depicted my client, a man without a requisite limb, standing in an architecturally impossible hallway. He could have had a backup arm. He could have stolen one. Little stubbornness can be charming, but it's a kind of desperation is ugly. It's getting late. It's time to bare my fangs. A bit. Accused. That's the best you've got? Even a bare bones prosthetic off the black market needs to be attuned to an individual's nervous system. You'd have to bring in a clinic which would have left a record in his shoulder OS, a record you won't find. He'd still have to somehow have gotten rid of it before the police arrived. SOP at the scene of a violent crime calls for full spectrum scanning of an entire building and 100 meters around it, minimum. So where, Detective Reyes, did he manage to hide a cybernetic arm from your drones in the time between the shooting and his arrest? And this would have taken half an hour to explain and prove in Phoenix Wright. That one line. Well, grrr. Any objections? Grrr. Detective. Grrr. Darnies. Oh. You're purple now. Dot. Show me your hand flat. You're uncuffing me? In light of the evidence, we have no reason to hold you. Now I gotta call the DA and tell her I made a mistake. Not we made a mistake, huh? Listen, kid, you should know. Detective? Detective? Lost my train of thought. But hey, your attorney's real tiger. She just fought like hooey for you. Make sure you thank her properly. Public defenders doesn't pay that well. Yeah. That's kind of you to say, Detective. But my work is its own reward. Sure. I feel exactly the same, Counselor. But what happens now? I'll have to speak with the DA about the dismissal. And there's still some paperwork we'll need to go through. But basically, you're free to go. Congrats. You get to leave the casino with your kneecaps intact. Yay? But what am I supposed to do? The detectives will continue their investigation. Their investigation into heartbreak, huh? Yes. When the authorities are satisfied with their examination of the body, she'll be handed over to the next of kin. And then you can make funeral arrangements. That's not what I... Huh? Diane being gone is bad enough. The serial killer? It's like she died of the flu. It doesn't happen anymore. That people die of the flu all the time, but I know what you mean. I can't make sense of it. What am I supposed to do? Heck if I know. There's some contacts I could give you. Services, professionals, doctors. No, you've done more than enough for me. When you got here, I was too tired to even defend myself. To try and convince them that I didn't... You saved me. Thank you. You're welcome, Carlos. But it's my job, too. No, I mean, thank you for not asking. Huh? For not asking if I killed her. Oh, Carlos. You didn't need to ask. I knew you were innocent from the start. Of course he was. After all. The blood's always different. Heart always the same place. Easy to find, hard to miss. But the blood's always different. A flowering stain unfurling towards an invisible sun. A perfect, unique bloom, only one for each of us. A Rorschach test with singular, universal meeting. Vitality at its climax. Bursting forth into a red fractal consisting solely of an infinite the end. But the comical thud of a body hitting the floor has its own kind of lowbrow appeal. So, okay. Bullet number 6 of 6. The gun's empty. Useless to me now. May as well leave it. Feels like a waste, but whatever. Finding the ammo is almost enough of a hassle to outweigh the advantages. I could sell an untagged gun for a bit of cash, but cash can't buy you peace of mind. Oh, don't look surprised, lady. Moping around in the dark in here, must have only been able to see my silhouette. Did she think I was her boyfriend, back for an encore of that enthralling conversation? Can't ask her now. Hey! Did you hear that? These old pieces are so loud, and people aren't even familiar enough with the sound anymore to know to run the other way. Probably roused half the neighborhood. But I didn't see anything I could use to, there's even a partial suppressor in the way. Could they really not afford some throw pillars? I use the other 5 bullets in outdoor spaces and small spheres of blind opportunity that the city's eyes couldn't think of pierce. Cramped places, usually full of trash. But this room, as cheap as it looks, is at least clean, organized, even. So the corpse adds a certain satisfying contrast. Except... there's something on the floor. By the window, there are broken pieces of something fragile and tacky. It's fine. Just one thing out of place. Actually, no, it's not fine. Actually, really irritating. I kicked the stupid mirror. 5 perfect crime scenes, each of them not a speck of evidence, nothing going on, and for that final shot just has to be some pile of something in the corner ruining everything. I kick the wall. Something falls from it. Probably more tasteless stuff. I toss over the chair, knock the urn. Tear into the sheets with my frustration and try to savor the shredding. If it can't be clean, I'll just have to lean into the messy angle. At least it will be consistent. This was also stupid. Honestly, I'm not the ego-driven type. In fact, I pride myself on my humility. Now, it was satisfying when the first 3 went down in single shots? Yes. But so what? I'm not made of stone. After all, I did start to actively aim for the heart, but... Heartbreak killer? Really? Don't people have anything better to do with their time? What kind of miserable, lifeless voyeurs are obsessed with over something that's none of their business? All of the thread and breakdowns and the stupid theory crafting, and all for the Heartbreak Killer. Sounds like a soap opera villain from a season where the writers were on strike. I feel insulted by the label, but no, there's something else. That's someone else's name. They came up with it. They spread it. They marketed it. Heartbreak's got nothing to do with me. He's just some reclusive, lonely, socially inept loser who shot 6 people because... well, I'm sure people will come up with something. That he got rejected one too many times or whatever. Me, I killed those people because I saw them and I wanted to. And I've killed a lot more than just 6. At least the room is thoroughly trashed now. If I had just walked away after seeing that mess by the window, it would have irritated me to no end. And now that it doesn't match the MO of the last 5 perfectly, it irritates the cops to no end instead. Good riddance, Heartbreak. You enjoyed your 15 minutes of spotlight. Really savored it. I'm going home. The air's weighty tonight, thick, energized. A heavily foreshadowed summer rain I can feel on every hair. They call this kind of humidity oppressive, but I disagree. The warm tension on your skin, like those short moments just after the shower turns off, when the steam lingers. Yeah, it's always the most comfortable right afterwards. Maybe there's no disagreement to be had. Oppressive things can be comforting too. Only the guilty ones run. I don't know about them, but I know I've never felt guilty about any of this. And I walk.
Thank you all for watching. You're welcome to come see me record these episodes live at twitch.tv/Superbunnybun.
You can also say hi on Blue Sky at Superbunnybun.
But most importantly, I'd really appreciate it if you could like yourself, comment about how awesome you are, and subscribe to Happy Thoughts. And until next time, stay feisty and huggable. Bye!